Hey, hello, Michael.
What's up?
How's it going? Hello, Kashal.
Why you ask me how it's going?
Ah.
We've been hanging out for the last hour and a half.
We're doing a lot. How's it going, everybody?
Cut to movie magic.
But yeah,
Maintain the illusion.
Welcome to our live discussion on last week's episode of The Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was a very good episode as far as I'm concerned, as good
And
as the third.
As always, we shall tee up our thoughts and speculations for tonight's episode or tomorrow's episode.
Yeah, because as it turns out, some of our assumptions or previews from last week were true.
I did really good. I must say I'm going to pat myself on the back. Like all the themes that I brought up about the lesser of two evils, the ends justifying the means, the one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter.
All popped up.
All that came up in the episode, and I was quite impressed.
Yeah. Kashal obviously is just saying he got disconnected last week. That's why he vanished from the stream.
Oh,
He wasn't so disgusted.
we gave up. We gave up. We were like, we can't do it without him. That's it.
He's like, this guy.
Let's go home.
Garbage. Get rid of him. God. No. So first off, then, Michael, tell me what your thoughts were of last week's episode. Just overall thoughts.
It was fine. It was good. It's kind of like the series. It's after this episode where I
Very
realized
good.
that I'm pretty sure, even unless these final two episodes knock it out of the park like 100%, and are amazing, just masterpieces of television, I think the mean will average out to about probably a 6.5 to a 7 for the overall series. And this
Pen.
Oh, you need something to fidget with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just it was cool. The last week's episode to me wasn't as good as the previous episode. I thought the previous episode was just stylish and cool and interesting and felt like exactly right. That kind of sums it up perfectly. Does dancing Zemo.
I want to go out to a nightclub with Zemo.
This episode didn't have that. This episode kind of like fell back into the typical Marvel thing that it really needed. It really needed to push the story a little bit and make things happen just so they could continue moving the plot, and then rely on that big sort of like finale, that crazy, shocking Twitter blowing up ending. And that is not. I'm not saying that's a criticism. I'm not saying that's a negative. It's just fine. It doesn't really. It doesn't blow me away. I go and watch people on Twitter freaking out about that final moment and whatnot, and all these memes and things. And I get it. It's fun. I like twittering. It's my. I tweet from time to time. But
yeah,
I just
Twitter's before my time. I'm old and decrepit.
I was just reading a lot of it and feeling like it's like, yeah, cool. I knew that was probably going to happen. It's like, yeah, this is where we're going with this. Great.
All right. My overall thoughts were last week's episode and episode 3 were both the best and same kind of standing for different reasons. 1 and 2, I won't say it was a slow burn, but it was like a nice, gentle introduction to where Sam and Bucky are. And then 3, when we inserted Zemo, ramped it up. And then this week, I felt like it carried on that same level of ramped up action. It wasn't as stylish as you said. Episode 3, I agree with you 100% there, had a more stylish way of it being shot.
It just had swagger, though. Like, the episode had swagger. I'm not even really getting, like, technical about it. It just...
This episode...
I could go watch that episode again.
Well, this episode, though, to me, was trying to keep the impetus of episode 3, but with also then giving us a bit more background and story to characters that we don't know, like Carly.
Yeah, but you see, I feel like episode 2 did that better. Like them walking through the countryside, their encounters with John Walker and Lamar Battlestar. Just the character development in episode 2 was much more interesting. The intrigue behind the Flag Smashers and kind of like trying to get us to raise our eyebrow at Carly and company, and like, are they what we think they are? Whereas this was just like, well, we need to let the audience know Carly is actually not bad. So now she knows Sam by name, Falcon, and she's all good buddy with him.
Kashal says last week's episode gave more insight and character development to Carly and the Flag Smashers, and I think he's right there. Last week's episode for me was more focused on story-wise, was more focused on them.
And episode 2 had more of that than this episode. Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what I'm getting at when I say this episode felt like it's just these things had to happen. So it's I don't want to call it lazy writing, but it was definitely George Lucas-esque.
I think it gives us.
Let's just get this shit happening. Let's make it happen so we can get to the cool stuff where John Walker is causing controversy, and we're getting the big finale. This is that filler?
Well, no. Well, what I do want to say is about this episode and the last episode is that every single Daniel Bruhl's on screen as Zemo is gold.
Every single Daniel Bruhl.
No, every single time. One of them every single time Daniel Bruhl's on screen, it's gold. Like this episode to me actually give us more insight into Zemo as well.
He's the best part of this episode.
So he's the best part of the show so far, as far as I'm concerned.
I think so too.
So my general overall thoughts were it was around a 7.5, say a bit lower than 3, but better than 2 and 1. But that being said, let's delve into bits that we liked specifically about it. Let's go through a run through on it.
All right, so the show opens up with a flashback,
which I loved. I thought it was a really good
we
flashback.
ended on a sort of cliffhanger, right, with the previous episode with Io showing up of the Mage de Melange, the spice melange,
the Dora the Explorer melange,
the Dora the Explorer spice melange, the spice melange,
the spice. Dora Melange, yeah. Did we ever get them called that in any other Marvel property? What does Kashal... I can't see because I've got a framing thing. It says, Kashal says...
And I can't see because I'm blind.
Do you think Zemo will come out and be sort of anti-hero? Well,
pop up the... What's it called?
I could just pop up there. From what I remember from Zemo...
Sorry, what was the question?
Do we think Zemo will come out and be an anti-hero of the series? I think that's the plan. I think in the comic though he was that kind. He never really picked a side. He was never good. He was never evil. He always kind of meandered the line, kind of. If he needed to go to a dark place to achieve something, he would do it. But then he also has a code, kind of.
He's like Smith from Dr. Smith from Lost in Space type villain.
Yeah. So they did mention Dora Milaje and Black Panther.
He's like Q from Star Trek.
That is true, yeah. The reason why I don't remember it from Black Panther is because this is going to be very...
You only watched it once.
This is where we lose all our subscribers. It's not one of my favourite Marvel movies, to be honest. It's not even in my top 10.
It's not one of my favourite either, and I've only seen it once, though, so I probably should revisit it. I just, I think we got into this conversation before. I found that Black Panther lost me during the waterfall fight stuff, and then how he miraculously survived, and I just, because at that point I actually Michael B. Jordan's character, I was like, good, okay, he won, so then like let it. That's their rules, right?
Yeah.
They were breaking their own rules, so I Black Panther lost me in the third act.
The thing was. The best thing I'm
talking about Falcon with the soldier.
I'm just going to say quickly, the best thing I like about Black Panther is Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. Anyway, so this opening scene in Wakanda I thought was excellent, and it really put on, for sure, Sebastian Stan's acting chops. I've always thought he was pretty good, but we talked about it last week, whether we think he could actually...
I tweeted that.
Lead a franchise. After seeing even this opening sequence, I believe... He could lead the franchise. You could tell he was going through pain and the anguish and the suffering that he was having, trying to break his programming. And the good thing I got from that was at the end of episode 3, we get a sense that Io is pissed off at him, but we don't know their history. And then
which is another thing that I called during last week's discussion.
Right at the start of this one, we find out actually they had a good relationship in Wakanda, and she was the one that helped him break his code. And then she's pissed and feels betrayed that they broke Zemo out.
I do also think there might be something else there, or maybe there isn't. Maybe they just...
I think she feels betrayed by somebody she trusted from her time with him in Wakanda.
If it's in line with the storytelling of this episode, though, it could be exactly what you said. Kind of stupid the way she showed up at the end, because I was defending the way she showed up at the end of the previous episode by saying, it's like, well, there's clearly... Obviously, there's some distrust, there's some sort of feeling of betrayal, animosity between them. But hey, maybe no, maybe it's all. But we just found out that there's absolutely nothing going on, and we just needed that dramatic moment.
Yeah, Kushal, I kind of agree. Black Panther did retread and rehash a version of the Lion King But I don't remember the part where T'Challa was held up by a giant baboon.
But that's the thing, though, is the evil relative evil, though. Like, I think, I forget his,
So
his name.
we've not again in Black Panther, Killmonger is not evil like Scar. Scar
is like a
the Lion King
evil.
is Hamlet for Disney and Lions.
Yeah.
Whereas Killmonger actually has a point to feel pissed off.
He's a sympathetic villain.
Yeah, and aggrieved. But anyway, then we get on to the fact that she says, this is what I find funny. She says you've got 8 hours. So are we to think that this episode just purely takes place in 8 hours? It does, doesn't it? This entire episode takes, because they come for him at the end. So that's obviously 8 hours. So in this 8 hours, they managed to track down Carly, go chat to her at the funeral. Oh no, first off, track down where the funeral's going to be. And he says this afternoon. Then go track down
They're
Carly.
in Latvia, right? In the whole episode.
Yeah, in Riga. So
They have that sweet hideout with the hexagons.
Yeah, and that hexagon window, that's definitely Mephisto's soul in that window.
No, it's something connected to Wanda. I'm telling you. No, but I'm being serious.
You think so?
They obviously love their visual storytelling in these shows. They're doing these things for a reason.
Well, we get the
or it could just be a troll.
Yeah, we get the part where they're on about we Sam's 100% sure that Carly's not all evil, and he wants to reach out
somehow.
To her. Yeah.
How does he know this?
A feeling?
Oh, yeah, exactly. He's like, more than a feeling. Da, 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 da. It's like, no, that's like, please tell us, like, why Sam has this, all of a sudden, this
Mephisto again, yeah. He's there somewhere.
I reckon it's Mephisto who's convinced Sam that Carly's a good guy. Like, I don't know. I feel like I must have missed something, but I must admit I've been watching these shows really late at night, like early hours of the morning, so I've been watching them asleep for the most part. But we rewatched them, and I don't feel I feel like I've missed something quite valuable there.
What I get from that is Sam sees the displaced by what's happening to his sister as well. So Sam has a kind of kinship with
yeah,
the
but
displaced.
the show hasn't really hinted at that.
That is true, but yeah. So then we find out again. So it's full 8 hours.
We bounce back to the present where Bucky, Zemo, and Sam are in that sweet hideout, and they're having a meeting, and Zemo essentially tries to convince Sam that they're essentially supremacists.
And that entire speech is brilliant because it ends up with. I think it's Bucky says, well, what about Steve? And Zemo says something like, there's only been one Steve Rogers. And that's instantly a massive flashing light to the audience that John Walker's going to turn evil.
I also wonder whether or not they're really, like, hammering on the nose that Sam Wilson is basically Captain America. He has the virtues. He has it all. Because to me, it's almost like him trusting Carly is like that's his grenade he's jumping on.
It's like Steve always sees the best in people.
But it's all okay, that yes, but also I see it as a metaphor for the grenade. Like he's putting his neck on the line for her and going. He's jumping on her. She's the grenade.
And he's trying to protect her. He's trying to protect everybody else and her as well.
Yeah,
because he doesn't want to see her fall to the dark side completely. So he's trying to save her basically. He sees her as somebody to be saved, even
he's
though
risking himself for the sake of others.
Yeah,
that's what I see is going on there. But I don't feel like it was earned. And
no,
I always like challenge you when you say things aren't earned. But do you agree or do you disagree?
Well, honestly, with the character of the Falcon, I don't think anything's been earned because he's not really had a lot of screen time. The Winter Soldiers had way more screen time to adapt and be told as a character, and Sebastian Stan's done really well at that. So, I agree with what you're saying. It's like Carl is the hill he's going to die on, but he feels deep down that she's got a point, that the displaced in the world, because I think Sam sees Carly as a metaphor for all the displaced. The way Carly sees herself. She sees herself as the avenging angel for all the displaced people.
I thought of a bit of a metaphor to describe what I feel about the writing, the laziness of the writing of this episode. It's almost like Bucky and Sam and now Zemo get a briefing, video game style, before the next mission.
It's like just
It's
comes
like,
along at the bottom.
This has happened, and we know this, and we know this about this, and so like, because I don't understand why they know all this stuff about her.
Yeah.
It's because Sharon has been feeding them intel.
I don't know. You mean the
Power
power broker?
broker's been feeding them intel. But that's what I mean. That's why I see it as lazy. It's like,
Anyway,
you've never met her.
No.
Actually, when you did, she was fighting you.
Kicked your ass on top of a moving lorry.
Why do you feel this way? And it's a little strange. So next scene,
That whole sequence, so again,
scene.
that whole scene, with Zemo and with the Turkish delight, it's very good. That the whole scene, Zemo and Bucky steal the show. The Falcon kind of.
This isn't the actor's fault. This isn't Anthony Mackie's fault this time.
No. This is the writing.
This is it's very weird. It's very strangely
It
weird.
should be called the Zemo and the Winter Soldier. Would have been better.
Because you've got the one guy who's arguing what we've seen. We've seen this from her and the people who she's with. We know why Zemo is making that comparison and why he's making this speech, because that's what his motivations have been from the beginning, even from Captain America Civil War. But Bucky is kind of just like there, just sort of like, we don't know what's going on in his mind. We know that he's conflicted and he's kind of a mystery. So we know that he's trying to resolve these things in his head. But with Falcon, with Sam, it's almost like we need this guy. We need someone to be defending her. Someone to be, for some reason, needs to be on her side. And I just don't feel like that was really illustrated properly.
Something just come across my mind about that scene. Again, the great speech from Zemo. The power broker is always watching. Sharon. Tell you, Sharon's the power broker. She's watching on the satellite. Anyway, but back to this scene. Zemo says that if you want to take the super soldier, or if you want to become superhuman, you are inevitably a supremacist. That line there says to me that Bucky will become the next Captain America. Because out of all the people that have ever taken the super soldier serum, he is the only one that did not want it.
We'll get into that later.
But that's what I mean about that line, though. If you think even Steve volunteered to take it,
because I could throw you my assumption as well. I think it's foreshadowed quite heavily that there's a possibility that Carly becomes Captain America.
No, she'd be Captain Britain. She's from Staffordshire.
Exactly.
But again, though, out of every, like Zemo said, if you want to become superhuman, you are inevitably going to be a supremacist. The only person who's ever taken that serum and not wanted it, and it was forced upon him, was Bucky.
Yeah. Anyway, we lingered on the scene, I think, a bit too much. So we cut to the next scene with the Flag Smashers now, speak of the devil, and we're finding out what they're actually doing, what's going on, what their motivations are, and that they're, they're not as nefarious as we're led to believe. Also, there's this I forget her name. Is it
Danya Madani?
Danya Madani, who essentially is the
mother of the Flag Smashers.
She's the General Lamar of this of these people of these people in this town, and she was trying to. Carly was basically trying to save her, that's what this was all essentially for, with the serum. But she was ultimately too late, and I actually kind of like that I made that parallel with General Lamar. That's what it feels like. It feels like they're the revolutionaries, and
she was the ideal behind it.
She was the martyr, and now she's a martyr.
And then we get that weird scene with Sam and.
Sam tries to track her down because he's convinced for some reason that she's a good guy.
The scene is actually a good scene, but it's weird how it comes about. Like you say, he doesn't really know it. He could have gone in there on his own, first we have Captain Kill America shows up and basically says, because before, when he goes to speak...
No, he hasn't shown up yet. You've just jumped way too far ahead.
Our?
Yeah, so Sam wants to go and track Carly down, right? And so he
goes.
That's
why they go with the Turkish delight.
So they come to and you find all the children outside and whatnot, and they go, and everyone's like,
and Zemo doing a creepy nursery rhyme.
Yeah, people are walking away as well, and like, we don't want any part of this, and it's like weird and mysterious every time they come into. This is where you made your silly Wilson joke.
Yeah, like Flag Smasher symbol Wilson. Yeah, he is the bad guy,
and this is his lead. This is the first time we get an idea that he's actually doing a good job as he's
A
doing
detective.
he's doing this espionage and detective work here because he goes and finds this person who turns out actually later is one of the Flag Smashers, and to see if he can help him track down Carly, because they end up going back and meeting up again at their sweet ass hideout after that. But that's after we see that moment where Zemo goes to plot with the children, gives them Turkish delight, and then he says those two. Those two are bad. Don't trust those two, and he's pointing at Falcon and Winter Soldier.
But then we have that just that little shot of where after he says that to him, and he walks back to him, and he tells him that they're having a funeral. That's when I said to you, the reason why I don't think Anthony Mackie is a good actor.
Well, you're getting ahead of me on my bullet points here. So they go back to their sweet ass hideout and meet up again.
No, it's as he walks by.
It's as he walks into the hideout.
No, I thought it was as he leaves the courtyard.
They're both heading back into the hideout. Zemo's still there, and that's when we paused it. So you told me that bit where he's like, "Yeah, you noticed how Sebastian's..."
Let me explain this. So again, I don't want to bash on Anthony Mackie as an actor, but it really shows. There's the scene when Zemo tells him that what he found out, and both actors have to act and portray what they're thinking without saying anything. So it's non-verbal acting, and Sebastian Stan does a look, and Anthony Mackie does a look, and I instantly knew what the Winter Soldier was thinking, and I'm just like, what? Why was Anthony Mackie's reaction so over the top? And then you came up with it was like a bubble would come out of Bucky's head saying,
"You know what I'm thinking?"
And it's actually what's going on.
We can't trust Zemo, and that meanwhile, Sam's bubble is, you know what I'm thinking? Arby's. But that's an interesting take.
Well, the different take on the Captain America legacy will end with Steve after his series, especially after what happened at the end of the last episode. The Shield is forever tainted.
Very possible.
That is a good idea. Like they might think. I think we're coming to a head because I've seen the promos of Bucky and Sam coming to a head with John Walker.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
All right. So then Sam calls Sharon and gets in touch with Sharon.
It says, "Can you keep an eye?" And the good thing about this is he's asking Sharon to keep eyes not on Carly, but on John.
Mm-hmm.
Which I like. The fact that our two main heroes really don't trust.
You got a little far ahead again there.
Oh, is that the second time he calls them?
That's how confusing and rushed this episode is.
Yeah.
You have so many times where Sam goes off to find Carly, and then he goes off to find Carly again, and then he goes to find her again.
So what does he speak to Sharon about the first time then?
So that's why I only wrote that down, hoping that you'd remember it. I'm pretty sure it's him. It's more exposition of like.
Oh no, he's asking her to keep an eye on John if John makes a move on Carly. Is what it is.
That's later.
Later
we'll
on.
Get to it.
Later on, he asks Sharon to keep an eye on Walker and let him know when he's coming.
Oh, okay, all right. So then we cut to Carly again with her flag smasher friends, and this is where we discover that the person who Sam met up with is actually one of her close confidants, and they're at a graveyard, and she removes a stone,
pulls out the serum.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. There's not really much more to that bit.
No, there's a key point that he says.
That's where I decided that maybe she would be Captain America because they talk to each other about how he used to be a fan of Captain America,
and also his uncle, I think it is, whose grave it's hid at, was a French resistance fighter in World War II. So we obviously get a sense of the Flag Smashers seeing themselves as resistance fighters, not terrorists.
Again, the theme of one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter.
That's like now big neon lights. We're freedom fighters and not bad guys. So anyway.
Except for when they are, though, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, but freedom fighters have to be. The French resistance in World War II, from the German point of view, were terrorists.
Yeah, of course.
But history is written by the victors, so we won,
and
they were written as heroes.
I made an argument as well for the IRA being terrorists who were ultimately fighting for something good, but because we were the enemy, we grew up with a very
and the fact that we won, we get to write history that they were the bad guys. So,
But it's very that's the point. That's the theme of it being a fine line between of how one man's terrorist is one man's freedom fighter. And that's
The
why
only thing I
it's
don't
really well done if you think about it, because they are by all definitions
they're showing both
terrorists.
they're showing both sides.
But so as we find out later on in the episode,
the thing I don't understand about that scene is why, if those super soldier serums are nice and safe in that graveyard, why the fuck would you take him to the funeral? That bit never. I couldn't understand that bit.
well, next this is where Walker shows up.
Yeah, brash and all that kind of shit.
He barges in. He's like, okay, I'm going to arrest him. You know, it's like he's like.
I
he's
love
coming
how
with me.
that shot as well, because Zemo's just stood in the back, kind of like, hi.
Yeah.
Just kind of trying to stay out of it.
But again, we quickly move on from that. We get a little bit of a look. From Sam and Bucky basically confront them because like, no, he's with us basically. So it's again more manufactured animosity. I think
He's helping us.
now I understand why there's a little bit of animosity because of what he represents, but I feel again the building up of John Walker to be the villain it feels rushed to me. I wasn't like
It does, because Walker's got no history with Zemo. So
Well-
yes, they've broken out a dangerous prisoner, but he's nothing to Walker.
Let's put it this way. I said, as we were watching it the second time round, that I don't understand why Twitter was exploding with this. Oh man, you never thought you'd hate someone more than you hate Joffrey Baratheon. Oh, now John Walker. Oh, like all these like hate on John Walker memes.
Yeah,
everywhere.
he's not Joffrey.
But all I'm thinking to myself is like, no, it's not being earned, because I don't feel that way. Because when I was watching this episode, I got the impression as like, he's flawed, and I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah,
here. He's flawed, but he's not
no,
a black and white villain.
John Walker is what Zemo says in that opening sequence of the three of them. That scene, the three of them and thing. That's who Zemo's talking about, because Walker is seeking to be superhuman, and therefore has supremacist tendencies.
So Sam convinces him to basically hold off and give me another chance. I'm gonna go meet up with Carly, and I'm gonna sort this out. And so we go to Daniel's funeral. At which point there's eulogies and stuff and whatnot. I'm sure probably if you read into it, there's probably something in the text there.
This is the scene that I wanted to get onto earlier, and I was jumping ahead. The scene's very good, but how they get to it is weird. Like you say, rushed. It's just really odd that they show up at this funeral.
Well, they know she's in there.
Well, that's it. So they show up at this funeral. Winter Soldier, Zemo, Bucky, Captain America, and Master Blaster.
Battlestar.
Like, and they all show up at a funeral. They don't just wait outside. They actually, because if it's realistically you wouldn't do it. But Sam says, I'm going to go in on my own because
Sam is virtuous.
Well, that's it.
Sam is virtuous and noble, and he's all these things that the show really desperately wants us to believe.
Two more to go, Kashal. We got tonight's and then next week. So Sam basically says, let me in there, let me talk to her, because that's in my wheelhouse. I've talked to grieving, PTSD-ridden soldiers. So that's why they agree to let Sam in, which I completely find. But I think it's Walker who makes a good point here. Halfway through the scene when he says are you really letting your basically saying, are you really letting your normal human person go in there with a super soldier? Because we haven't seen it to date, but a super soldier can snap a human like a twig.
Well, let's just set the scene up because we're rushing through a lot of this. So he takes Zemo and cuffs him up, and then he's basically he's kind of just like he's angsty. Yeah, he's very
You do get a sense, and
jittery.
Like you say, it is kind of rushed, but Walker comes across as a character that wants to please, wants to be successful, wants to show that he's as good as Steve Rogers.
But we do have an encounter between Sam and Carly to deal with first, and I see this shows how believable this is to me. I wrote down this. Sam shows up, and him and Carly are best friends for some reason. And she's calling him Sam. We're on first name basis.
And that's what I mean. It was weird how they got there, but the actual scene itself is quite a good scene. But it was weird how they got to it. It again not felt earned.
Oh, we're having buffering issues. I'm trying to talk about what they talk about.
Yeah.
What do they talk about?
Basically, she goes on about what she's trying to do, and that what she's trying to do is right. So she's trying to convince Sam that what she's doing is correct. And Sam's like, listen, I understand you. I believe you. I am with you on what you're doing. It's the way you're doing it.
Why didn't he treat Bucky if he was good at treating PTSD soldiers?
Yeah. But that's it. Sam's saying, I agree with your cause, but the ways and means that you're going about it is wrong.
Yeah, again, because he's super virtuous and he's the good guy and he
Yeah,
knows what's right.
but that's the thing, though. We already had that done way better in Captain America. We don't need Sam to do that shit. So
I think it might almost be intentional at this point.
Yeah.
On the nose that he is virtue and good and the heart of Captain America, and Bucky is it's almost like ego versus id. Bucky is the raw, unadulterated lizard brain of Captain America. He's got that part of Captain America. He has the strength and the tenacity and the foundation, whereas Sam has the righteousness and the virtues and
yeah,
the
but the
moral
thing was, though, Captain America had the righteousness and the virtues, but when they came to beat that out of him, he was strong enough to not get squashed. When they come to beat that out of Sam, he'll just get snapped like a twig.
But they do kind of foreshadow a little bit, don't they? They have, because I think I missed the part where Zemo asks him, doesn't he? He says, he's like, "Did you would you
ever offered the serum?"
Actually, I might have. I think I wrote that down.
Oh no, yeah, it's after this because he gets hit in the face.
It's because they constantly do the same thing.
They go back to the hideout and
they go back to the hideout 3 times,
and they go see Callie 3 times.
Yeah. Well, no, they only see her twice.
Is it not 2 times?
It's twice, but they're trying to find her the first time, and they don't find her. So, okay. Now but we're cutting back and forth because we go back now to Walker, who's getting even more anxious. He's getting even
and he
pissed,
basically says, "Fuck it, I'm going."
Well, and Bucky stands in front of him, and he's like, you're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And now all we're thinking is like, bro, that's Bucky. Don't even.
He could literally take you out with his vibranium arm.
But. He must have convinced him though, because he must have got past him somehow, because he eventually does come through.
What?
But Carly makes her case though and tells her that what Zemo and Sam basically tells her what Zemo thinks of her.
And she's like, "I'm not a supremacist," and then she says something that is like extremely supremacist. She says something like, "If I had to kill him, I'd kill him. I'd kill him again."
Yeah. At which point Zemo finds his way in. Because in the kerfuffle that Walker creates by breaking in, and he comes across her and he shoots her single-handedly.
Before that,
hip fire.
Yeah, before that, I want to get into how Walker, throughout this entire 4 episodes, just barrel rolls into a situation with no regard of actually what's going on, because
he's brash.
His ego's way above. At this point, his ego and his is way above his ability.
Okay. When I move on to another scene, we need to try to avoid going back, because we can talk about that stuff at the end.
Go.
I've lost where I was now, though.
Zemo.
So Zemo runs in, and he hip fires like Wild West, but like it's a pistol one-handed, and
at least it's not sideways.
It looks like he's aiming for her head, but he hits her in the abdomen, because if he hits her in the head, then that would be it, game over. Obviously, she needs to survive, but she kind of like collapses and tries to run away and whatnot, and she knocks the serum everywhere, and Zemo's like, "Is that what I think it is?"
Again, why did you bring the serum to a funeral, you idiot?
Well, because they're on the run, though, aren't they? Kind of.
Yeah, but the serum at the moment is actually in a very nice, safe place. And if they're wanting to use that to expand their army, and I got 20 vials, I won't get a single vial out until I had a volunteer to jab it into. And I'd jab it into him in the graveyard.
So Zemo, when he's like that, that's what I think it is. He starts crushing it and smashing it, and then at the last moment, he gets hit in the head by Captain America's shield.
And that was like the stupidest thing of this episode. Even John Walker, who's, let's say, he's a strong Special Forces soldier, throwing a vibranium shield, hits Zemo square in the face.
It's a semantic.
It'd kill him!
Yeah, I know. It's like...
Even if it was normal metal and not vibranium, it'd kill him.
Yeah, it's fine.
But the best thing is, though, they do a Marvel, or it doesn't really matter, because the next scene you see Zemo, he's got a wet towel on his fucking head.
Yeah. I think just like, yeah, sure. It's a semantic in my mind. It's not.
Well,
it's daft.
Zemo's destroyed all 19 except
It's about
one.
as daft as the line that's coming up.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, he's destroyed 19 of them, and one scuttles under a thing that John Walker finds and puts in his pocket.
Yeah. So he takes that last vial and wanders off with it. So then we find that Carly's escaped and she's reconvened with her friends. The one flag smasher from earlier and the one long-haired guy from the previous episode.
Yep.
And they basically lament to each other and whatnot about how they thought they might have had an ally in Sam and Bucky, but now they know they can't trust any of them. They can't trust them. They can't trust Walker because they're working for Walker because they see Walker as Captain America.
Yeah.
And they make it. It's in the dialogue. It's made very very clear.
Well, she says we've got to kill Captain America.
Yeah, but
Can't get much more clear than that.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how they now won't trust them because they feel like Captain America is the top dog and they're working for Captain America. Man, these notes I took this week are really messy. They realize they have to deal with so they realize that sooner or later they're going to have to deal with Sam and Bucky as a result, that probably says that they felt like they could have probably easily dealt with Walker and Lamar because they're not super soldiers, but now that they have to fight with
Two Avengers.
two Avengers, it's all of a sudden something it's something noteworthy.
Yeah.
And the power broker contacts them.
Yeah, so she basically not fobs them off, but she basically tells the guys, listen guys, I'll deal with the power broker when we need to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good indication of where their mindset is at. They're literally moving from one objective to another with no real plan.
Yeah.
So that's a good, very good, quick. They don't have a big, long plan, but they are just dealing with bits as they go.
It's because they're trying really really hard to make it feel like they're the good terrorists.
Yeah.
They're the good terrorists, and we're going to find out later on at the end of this episode who the bad terrorists are.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get back to the hideout with Zemo with his cold cloth on his head. Fuck. But this is again the third time we've got back to the hideout now, and he asks Sam quite candidly if he would have taken. Oh, this is it. Yeah. See, this is why we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. Ask him quite candidly if he would have taken the serum, and tries to convince him basically that Carly is too far gone, because Sam's response is like no, and Zemo's even shocked as well of just how
quickly he says no.
He says so he knows that he wouldn't, and that he's telling the truth.
Yeah,
and that's also kind of again almost very much a comparison to Steve in that's like it's jumping on the grenade. It's like what does Stanley Tucci say? He's not getting the serum because he wants it. He's getting the serum because he you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Deserves it.
Yeah, because he deserves it.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what that feels like to me. It's like in order for Sam to illustrate to the audience, to us in the story, that he deserves it, he needs to not want it. Because hey, look, Walker clearly wants it because at this point he's stolen one. So there's a stark contrast between those two situations. Then Walker storms in again, tries to arrest Zemo one more time. At which point we have a pretty cool fight because the Spice Melange,
Dora Milaje come in and basically like, and this has happened a lot throughout the series. It's like he says Captain America, and they're basically like, fuck off, no you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You're nobody. But something happens there which I find quite funny when he says the Dora Milaje don't have jurisdiction here. Well, no, technically they don't, but she says they have jurisdiction wherever the Dora Milaje want. But what makes Cap an American soldier, because he's not even an Avenger, when he's announced as Captain America...
We missed the comment.
John will end up taking a vial for the future Thunderbolts team. Well, he did take a vial in this episode. Or do you mean take a second?
No, he means take them, like take more. Yeah, take them to help create.
Yeah, but they were all destroyed.
You don't know that.
Maybe they get it from his super blood.
But I think he's referencing something. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kushal. He's referencing something from the comics.
From the comics, probably. Because Thunderbolt, I think, does get his own team, the Dark Avengers.
The Dark
Yeah.
Avengers, yeah.
So, but the thing I like here is Captain America. They say when they announce him at the end of is it the first episode, that we can't protect the world now. We need to protect our own country. So we need a Captain America. So he's saying that he is now under American jurisdiction. He's not an Avenger. And yet he's in Latvia trying to apprehend some terrorists. He's got fuck all jurisdiction.
He tells them that it's that
But she says the Dora Milaje have a jurisdiction where they want jurisdiction. And the best bit about this scene, up until it really kicks off, is the fact that Bucky's just stood in the background, just letting him walk and do his thing because he knows he's going to get his ass kicked.
Well, because he's seen firsthand. He's been with lived and
Wouldn't surprise me if he's got some training off him.
probably, yeah.
But then we have a really good set piece. Bucky and Sam decide to get involved. And
However,
then we have
Bucky gets
we get
immediately
the
neutralized.
Kill Bill 5-fingered palm trick on his shoulder.
The five finger palm
Exploded.
exploded.
It's the exploding shoulder trick.
Oh man, it's gonna kill me.
Yeah. You have to fight it after.
I'll have to look it up.
But the thing I liked about that entire bit there, though, what that said to me was, as much as they were friends and they trusted and they helped break him, they didn't 100% trust the Winter Soldier because they built a failsafe
it's
into
kind
it.
of a theme of the Wakandans, though. They're isolationists.
Yeah,
right?
they built a failsafe into his shoulder, which is pretty nefarious.
Well, but it also probably it belongs to them.
Right, you got to think it's made of vibranium.
Yeah. Well, no, it is made of vibranium.
Yeah, whereas his original arm wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Where did the Hydra get vibranium from?
I don't know, but it is.
It's not. It's just a metal arm, and then it gets replaced with a vibranium one. And it
I know his current one is vibranium.
yeah,
for sure.
because it's from Wakanda.
Yeah, but it doesn't belong to him. Is what my point was anyway.
You've only got the arm on lease.
Yeah,
Don't get by.
Essentially, it's like Spider-Man's costume doesn't belong to him. It belongs to Stark Industries.
Kashal just realised that he consumed the serum and didn't notice. Well,
because I pointed this out that
the very subtle hints before it's like
you get more and more, less and less subtle hints as the fight goes along.
But the whole point of that, the two things I got away from that fight scene was, one, the Wakandans didn't truly trust Bucky,
and the silliest line in MCU history.
Yeah,
they weren't even super soldiers.
Gosh.
I hate it. I love it because I love how much Wyatt Russell is just eating the scenery with this role. He's having a good time with it.
The thing is, I understand the point of what that part of the script was supposed to emote and make us think.
Yeah,
but it was just very poorly written.
It's not that it's even poorly written. It's just silly. It's just a silly thing to say.
Do you know?
It's so could you imagine, you're going through film school, you're becoming a thespian, you've acted on stage and in countless productions, and you find did you ever think in your wildest dreams you'll read a line, but they weren't even super soldiers.
Do you know where that would have come in better? Actually, that line and said slightly different.
I don't think it's a bad line. It's just funny.
Yeah,
it's unintentionally funny to me.
But it's where it's set now. If that had been a part of a conversation between him and Battlestar, old Lamar, in the train station, and it was them two, and Lamar had said to him, "Hey, what's wrong, John? Why are you so down?" And he's like, "We just got our asses handed to us by non-super soldiers."
It's like, talking about the subtlety that comes in the next sequence, in the final climax of this episode, it's itself not subtle storytelling.
Yeah,
it's like, well, so he's taken the serum. If you hadn't guessed, he's probably going to use it at that point. When he's going, oh, but they weren't super soldiers.
Well, before we get...
okay, so he's definitely taking the serum then.
But we also get the mirror image of Zemo speaking to Sam about the serum when Walker speaks to Lamar and asks him, would you take it? And he's like, fuck yeah! Give me some of that serum. And it's the difference between those two in the train station.
Well, that's the next scene.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. And that, because if you didn't think it was good,
let me lead the conversation, bro.
No,
anyway,
Kashal can lead the conversation. Yeah. But you're right. It was a mirror image of Sam's quick, no, I won't take it, and Zemo's shock to these two.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast. For
but
sure. And you also have the hints of that Walker again is a flawed person, but not an inherently evil person, because he points out, because his friend says to him, he's like, yeah, I mean, you've got these 3 medals, and he's like, yeah, but I mean, you saw the shit we did in Afghanistan, right? Like they gave medals.
Reminders of my worst day of my life.
Exactly, they give medals for anything essentially. Like those medals don't really mean anything. So it shows us that he is like broken. He doesn't really truly believe that he in himself, quite like.
So do you know what the
Captain
ring?
America
Do you know
did.
what the ring is? No, sorry. Do you know what the serum is? To John Walker, is the ring to Boromir. I only want the power to protect my people. He sees it as he needs the serum to protect people. That's how he sees it in his head.
You're making a nice allusion to the whole power, like the power of how power corrupts and whatnot.
But I just had that scene in my head where Boromir says, "I just seek," when he's speaking to Frodo, when he says,
Dr. Johann said though as well way back that the serum. It enhances all qualities, good and bad,
and that's why Steve has been the only one.
And so if you're what's it called, if you're a good person but you're emotionally tortured and depressed and you take the serum, well, you're gonna become super depressed. Sorry, I'm not trying to laugh at mental illness.
No, but
you know what I'm saying.
And that's it. John wants to take it because in his mind he's not the Captain America he should be, and he needs the serum to do it to. He basically needs the ring to protect his people. Is the way it is.
So anyway, bridging that moment, and then the final moment, we have a quick aside with the Flag Smashers, and Carly calls Sarah and threatens her.
Yeah, kindly threatens her.
Yeah, and it's like she even says in the next meeting, in the final meeting with Sam, because she threatens Sarah to get in contact with Sam.
Yeah,
which I'm like, why? You still probably could find each other easily, but I know why. It's because the story needs us to have this moment where it shows that now he has reason to doubt what he was thinking. Sam has reason to doubt because he comes up to her and says, well, you had to threaten my family. And she's like, I would never have killed your family. Like, well, then don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, find another way to
just call Sam.
Again, it's not contrivance, but it's just so everything's so it's like a
and
steamroller.
we've also
like,
got
here's all the good, interesting ideas for this episode. Let's just fucking steamroll.
We've also got
together.
Sam asking Sharon to keep an eye on Walker again at this point.
This is the second contact with
second
Sharon.
contact.
Yeah, second contact, 2 contacts.
Yeah,
and so they meet up again, and she's like, well, Bucky won't let him go alone. Obviously, Bucky's kind of he's relegated to sidekick in this episode.
A little bit, yeah. And it's funny because the way it starts, you think realistically he should have been the focus of this episode.
Either genius storytelling or complete oversight.
Yeah,
who knows? So, so she gets pissed off, obviously, because he didn't come alone, and we inevitably come to a situation where it's like, well, she's not going to trust him, and then just when you think like. They might come to an agreement and might come to an understanding. Then Walker fucking shows up, smashing through his door.
I just want to say one thing here, though. Marvel don't do this a lot, but this fight sequence was not very well done. This last sequence, because it's hard. It was hard to follow who they're after and whatever. Because when the fight starts, basically Sharon tells Sam that Walker's on the move, so Sam takes off. So. Does that mean Sam's after Walker? Because then Carly then tries to jump over and stop Sam, but Winter Soldier jumps across and stops Carly. So why is Falcon after John Walker? It's not very well done as a fight scene at the end, which is unusual for Marvel.
But again, maybe part of the rushed laziness of this episode, in my mind, that
it was probably editing.
I think they. I think they wanted it to be intentionally confusing like that. They wanted this confusing, gritty fight where we don't really know.
But it wasn't well done. It wasn't well executed.
It's like a mini airport scene.
Yeah, but it definitely
nowhere near as good as that.
Well, as
obviously.
I say, why was Sam going after Walker?
Because the plot needed it.
But that's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't well done.
Yeah, you were the one who said this is the best episode yet.
No, I said it was as good as last week's, but for a different reason. But then you got your fight scene. You got you haven't got a CGI army, but you might as well have because they're all wearing masks and they all look the same. And we don't know any apart from Carly.
We do get one really good little thing, like we foreshadowed earlier in our conversation here, is that there's three less and less subtle indications that Walker's taking the serum. The first one is when he arrives, he smashes through a door.
Well, there's one before.
But he's got the shield.
There's one before that though as well. When Battlestar and Cap show up, Cap comes in with that iconic pose of Chris Evans as Captain America in Captain America First Avenger, where he's holding the shield and he's got his gun over the shield. So that's basically saying, look, he's now Captain America.
Yeah. But then he smashes through the door, it's like, okay, and the sound design, it makes it like sound big, and you're like, okay. But I mean, this is why I say it's not my favorite episode, and I think it's probably now after this discussion maybe even one of the weaker of the four, because to me, like, we knew he was going to take the serum, but not everybody did. Kushal hadn't caught on to it, but I feel like you'd been given sufficient amount of hints that
of his character that the moment he got it, he'd take it.
Yeah, he's going.
I'm surprised he put it in his pocket and didn't just.
To me, it's when he says they weren't even super soldiers. That's where I'm like, so he's obviously taking it. But
even then, in the train station, he's still kind of doubting it when he asks Lamar.
Yeah. But then, two smashing through the door. You could do that. He's got the shield. You could make an argument, but it's probably not.
Yeah.
Right. Third indication is when he throws the shield and it lodges in a wall. At that point, you're like, well, I mean, the only explanation
is
that it's vibranium. But I mean, he threw it at Zemo earlier, and
he did stick in Zemo. Yeah, exactly. He does that to the concrete wall, but he don't do that to Zemo's head.
Well, because now he's got the serum and he's throwing it with superhuman strength.
Right.
And then the final unambiguous moment is when he kicks the guy down the stairs and bends the pipe around.
And the actual flag smasher realizes. He's like, oh shit.
And at that point, you just it's not even ambiguous.
Well, like
anymore.
Sam says,
and that's really clever. Yeah. I like that. But that sequence of events.
And then they put us in Sam's. Sam is the audience because Sam says, "What did you do?" Like, really, Sam? You couldn't tell what he's done. He just kicked a guy.
That's who Anthony Mackie reminds me of in this role as Falcon. He reminds me of Calculon
from Futurama.
From Futurama, yeah. Acting. Like, I feel sometimes like Anthony Mackie's got his lines in his pocket during these, especially during the scenes with Daniel Bruhl and Sebastian Stan. He always feels like he's the weaker actor, and it's so obvious.
And it's because, like what I said earlier, I don't think he doesn't match his verbal and his physical acting. It's kind of counterintuitive. He will say something, but his face and his body will display something.
Yeah, it's like, I hate you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, listen, I don't want to have to tell you this, but your mum and dad just died.
Fuck. Do you know what? That's where his strength lies, is in jovial and joking and comedic timing. That's where he's better.
It's the serious stuff you can't do.
So anyway, we're going sidetracked. So we find out that Lamar, however, big shock, the only remaining non-super soldier in this situation, non-superhero.
Yeah.
Lamar has been caught by the Flag Smashers. He's been held hostage. When Walker finds out, he basically. He's like, we gotta.
Walker's about to get.
He kind of reconciles with Sam for a bit, and we have that moment where they're both fighting side by side. And I pointed out, I was like, I needed Cap's best man by my side. I need Cap's best man by my side. But Lamar comes in and
saves Walker by a rugby tackle,
but like predictably gets murdered.
We get to see exactly what would happen if a super soldier punched a normal person. Basically, it kills him instantly.
Yeah. Well, okay, so he's not murdered. It's an accidental death. When they realize, they peace out, and John Walker's kind of like he's overcome with rage. He's overcome with rage, and so he decides that that's it. He's had enough, and he chases after. I don't know all the names of the Flag Smashers guys, but the one he chases after is the controversial, notorious one that he.
The one that
puts to death.
The one that his dad was a French resistance. Or his uncle
puts him to death.
Well, first off, he gets his first superhero landing.
Sure.
He jumps out of his window and does the superhero landing on a van.
But yeah, he puts the shield clean through his face, and there's people around like taking photos.
And again, stark contrast to what Steve does with Iron Man.
Yeah, and it's framed though. Quite like obviously to be like, oh, this is not good, and this is bad that he's doing this. But I made a great argument That's the end of the episode, by the way. We get like that scene where you see the blood on the shield, and it's like dun dun dun. Finn.
The best thing about that part is Carly's face, and that Carly now knows that John Walker is a super soldier as well.
And also, we now know that Carl is the good terrorist and John Walker's the bad terrorist. So the show has spelled it out for us quite easily.
That John Walker's we can't afford John Walker
so
to be the bad guy.
I want to though say that I have the mind of a fucking
You have the
ferret.
high ground.
What? I have a mind of a ferret. It fucking just constantly goes from task to task to task. Because I was watching it the second time round, and I'm now with hindsight of seeing all the rage and all the oh man, because I mean fucking apparently Wyatt Russell got like hate messages and stuff on social media.
Oh, he has all this. All this is he's loving it.
He's loving it. He's not like our Star Wars people who get all mad and leave social media forever.
Yeah.
They can't handle trolls. But I'm not defending that kind of behavior. But as a Twitch streamer, I can tell you, like, the best way to deal with trolls is to just fucking lap it up,
troll them back, yeah.
Lap it up. But I pointed out though, to be honest, is that murder what he did?
Yeah,
it's not really.
It is.
I mean, it's taking law into his own hands. But what did he do? What did he do? He saw his friend get killed, and he avenged him.
Mm.
He's an avenger. Like literally,
not a pre-venger.
No, he's literally an avenger. This is why I say it's not supposed to be black and white. It's trying to trick us into thinking it is black and white. That, like I say, Carly good terrorist, Captain America bad terrorist. But realistically, they're doing. This is where I think the show excels. They're doing a great job of making this John Walker character feel like he's not just big bad evil.
No, see, and to me, he's coming across as villain of the week. Mustache twirling.
If they want. Really?
Yeah. Because we've and the reason why he's coming across that is because we've not delved into him. We've not got you look at.
I mean, we have.
Not really. You look at the best.
Well, no, don't say not really. Tell me an example of something that would be.
So we know he's a war hero, and we know he did something bad in Afghanistan. But that's really about it. We don't know anything about him. The best Marvel villains are ones that are fleshed out and developed.
You do though.
Well, what else do you know?
You know characteristic traits of his. You know that he does.
Yeah, he's impetuous and he wants to be Captain America.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying though. It's not real depth to the character. There isn't a lot of depth to it. You think of the best Marvel villains, they have depth. Vulture has depth.
Well,
Thanos
he's no Vulture, but don't turn around.
What do you mean he's no Vulture?
Yeah, because Vulture's fucking best villain in the MCU.
Yeah, hang on. But you're backing up what I'm saying.
No, because you're contradicting yourself. Because you've also just said that he's MCU villain of the week.
Yeah, because he's not
MCU villain.
No, he's not been developed yet. So far today, 4 episodes in, he's not been developed yet as a villain. Zemo is way more developed.
Give me an example of his one dimensionality as an evil guy, as a mustache twirling guy.
The fact that he wants to be Captain America, he doesn't feel like he has the power, and he'll do anything to get it. That's his MO. We don't know anything else about him, except
the only heinous thing he did in a fit of rage because the person he's chasing killed his friend.
Oh, yeah, but I'm not getting right. I'm not getting.
Well, there's depth there.
What I'm saying is, it's not the fact that he's done a lot of evil things at the moment. He, at the moment, is very one-dimensional, and he's heading towards being a mustache-twirling villain, unless they develop him, and they haven't developed him.
Okay, so you're saying he's not. They have not shown that he's evil villain of the week, but they have. But then they have.
No, right. So let me clarify. At the moment, he's very one-dimensional and he's not got a lot of depth to his character. And as I said, he's heading towards being another Marvel mustache-twirling villain of the week. That's where he's heading.
Except I gave you an example of depth. The only heinous thing he's done.
That's not depth. That's barely 30 seconds of screen time.
What? That he would avenge his friend, and that he's basically prone to fits of rage when his close compadres are killed.
Yeah, but
in cold blood.
There's no reason for that. We don't know why he's like that. As I say, with the good villains, we know why the Vultures.
No, right, but we know. But we know he is that.
No, I'm going to.
We know he's done that.
You give me his depth. Well, I gave you one.
That's
not his depth. That just shows he's angry.
No,
That's not depth.
No, it shows
He's
that
got a temper.
it shows that he loves he loved Lamar. And he had this relationship with his brother in arms.
Again, something
it
that
shows
we didn't
that
see.
It shows you don't need to see it.
Like
They didn't tell us it, and I figured it out somehow. And you know how I figured it out? Because he killed someone for killing his friend.
no, again, I see no depth at the moment to the character.
That's depth, though.
No, it's not.
That is a level. It is, because if his dimension is that he does things because he's self-serving, but then he
Okay.
kills someone. He kills someone for killing someone he loves. That is literally dimensional. That's a second dimension. That's depth.
Okay, he's two-dimensional. He's not a good villain.
Okay. I might say he's possibly two-dimensional.
But then again, Malekith.
He's not one-dimensional.
Malekith is two-dimensional.
No, Malekith's one-dimensional.
No, not.
He is. He wants the ether, and he wants to cover all the realms in darkness.
He wants the ether to cover all and get vengeance on Asgard. That's 3 depths.
Except now, what you're saying, what you're trying to accuse John Walker of not being shown to us, we didn't get to see the inciting incident that caused his quest for vengeance. We
No.
were just told it in a
Exactly.
No, but we saw this.
But
this happened in real time when he was trying to do his job as Captain America. He's there trying to be the best Captain America he can, with Captain America's best man at his side, and that's all derailed in an instant because his best friend is killed.
Well, let's put it this way. What he did,
It adds dimension.
it adds one dimension, which is
It adds a second dimension. That's very misleading to say. It adds
He's
one
still
dimension.
not
because his first dimension, by your argument, is that he's power hungry and he's a mustache.
Let's put it this way.
'Kay,
Carl is more fleshed out.
So, well, of course she is.
But that's what I'm saying, though. So if John Walker at the moment is heading towards that sinkhole of a one-dimensional Marvel villain.
Except we know that Carly is someone who cares about people that she loves, and she's acting out of vengeance for the suffering of the people she loves.
Yeah.
The same thing that we just discovered about John Walker in this episode. The yin and yang, literally. Because I can now give you another. If you were willing to accept that as a second dimension, can I give you a third dimension?
Go on.
A third dimension is his PTSD and the fact that he's depressed and questions he questions his past, questions the things he's
Again,
done.
just something we've been told. Like I say, we haven't been filled out on any of this.
Well, what do you want him to do? Like a puppet show?
well, okay. I'll put this. Hang on. I'll put this to you. We're now 4 episodes in, at 45 minutes an episode. That's 3 hours. That's a movie length. In good Marvel movies, we have way better fleshed out villains in 3 hours.
Okay, give me an example of a three-dimensional villain that isn't Thanos and that isn't. Oh, actually, what's the fourth dimension to Thanos' character?
What do you mean?
Okay, so he's plagued by knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So essentially thinks he's got a god complex. We know he's also narcissistic.
Yep.
And he's a mustache-twirling evil guy.
And he believes what he's doing to Thanos. Thanos is altruistic.
That's god complex. That's the same thing.
Yeah. So there you go.
3 dimensions.
Yeah. Walker's not got that yet, though.
Yeah.
As I say,
I think
I'm caveating it with yet.
I think this is a good conversation, but we should probably move on to
Yes.
some theory crafting. But I will top it off by pointing out that we're both arguing the same thing to some degree.
Kinda.
Because what
do you think, Sean?
you're trying to say that he is one-dimensional, and I'm just trying to say he isn't. You think me saying he isn't one-dimensional is me somehow proving that he's the next Thanos. I'm not saying that. I'm just
okay. So I won't say he's one-dimensional. He's not fleshed out. That's a better way to put it. He's not a fleshed out villain character.
He could use more fleshing out.
100%.
But that doesn't mean he's not fleshed out.
All right, then. His level of fleshing out is 15%.
It's possibly, let's say, 4 of 6
we
episodes.
said flesh.
I would say it's possibly 4 of 6 episodes worth of fleshed out.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying, though. That 4 episodes is a 3-hour movie.
Because you're
moment.
essentially arguing that his turn is not earned. You're saying, like, the moment you saw him with his arm up against that locker, having that, like, ha ha ha, like, remember old times conversation with his sister and whatnot, you went from that immediately to thinking this guy's going to murder someone with Captain America's shield.
No.
And you need dimensionality in a character to be able to make that leap without it being a complete contrived.
But this is what I'm saying, though.
This episode, though, is very much that.
This is what I'm saying, though. From the very first moment I saw him, I knew that all he wanted to do was take the super soldier serum and he'll turn bad. I knew that instantly.
I see, and I didn't, but that's because I don't know anything about these characters. I don't look up. I've never read any Captain America.
I didn't know
Falcon.
anything about John Walker.
Yeah,
but I knew.
I even asked you after the first episode. I was like, "Oh, who is that?" Like,
I knew he was going to be a bad guy.
I only knew that there was the possibility that he was going to be used as a hey Willie or Wanty sort of bad guy.
Well, let's put it this way. Now we're moving on to our predictions.
Theory crafting.
John Walker will not make it out of the series.
So, I would say that the show's text is hinting heavily at that, but it's also done very. This show has done a very good job of subtly foreshadowing things to the point where all the shit, unlike WandaVision, all the shit that was like obvious hasn't come to fruition so far.
And this is how I see it.
You have to look back and really like take note to truly see where the show is going in hindsight.
Yeah.
When it comes to John Walker, I would suggest that they're building him up to be the main villain, and it's going to be a big showdown between him and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Except we've got Zemo, we've got Sharon. We don't know what Sharon is. And Power Broker.
Okay.
We've also got.
Let me do my favorite.
We've also got the Flag Smashers.
Yeah,
so there's a lot to go here. So I'm almost finished my point. So the show is definitely like, yes. You know that meme of the 2D image of a person's like, you're like, they're totally leading towards John Walker's death in this series. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
However, if anything like what Kashal was suggesting earlier in the chat is going to come to pass, they will not be killing off this character. This character will be needed for future MCU deliberations.
So, this is how I see it going. I don't see him I don't see him being killed off. What I see happening is, at the end of this, it'll be revealed who the Power Broker is, and they will be used later on down the line. It'll just be a quick reveal of who is the Power Broker, probably at the very last episode.
Well, hold on. That feels like my theory has changed, though, your theory. Because you said he's going to die.
I'm going to tell you why.
I'm intrigued to know why you think he won't make it out of the show.
Well, because of what Kashal said. So what I feel the way it's going to end with John Walker is he's going to be dethroned and have the shield taken off him, and in his embarrassment, he's going to sulk and slink like into the sewer.
Or what if he ends up in the vault? And that's where Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross gets all of his crew from the Dark Avengers from the motherfucking vault.
No, I think he'll be like on the run. He'll go into the underground,
kind of mirroring Captain America,
and maybe end up seeking out the Power Broker.
Yeah.
The shield will go to Bucky, and Sam will still be the Falcon.
I'm not even close to being able to make that kind of.
So my reason for this is
2 episodes left. I don't know.
Is the show's done a very good job at Bucky being pissed at Sam for not taking up the mantle. It's also done a very good point of that Sam realizes, and not just doesn't want it, but realizes he can't wield the shield. He isn't Steve. He isn't a super soldier. He's best. Sam knows he's best at being the Falcon. So that leaves us, like Charles said, maybe they retire the Cap shield, but.
Well, I would. This is why we be able to kind of wrap this up right away. Because
we
I
know
will
there's a
honestly tell
showdown.
you, for 4 episodes in a row, I am now at a point where I'm just like, I neither care nor really have any idea what I think is happening. I'm just gonna wait until I see it tonight and judge the episode as it comes.
We know Sam and Bucky confront John, and John's like, "You really want to do this?" And
when
in the preview that they showed,
I didn't watch
So
previews. I'm not watching previews. I don't want spoilers.
oh well, it's not a major spoiler because you know it's happening.
Well, no, I don't.
Well, you
I
never.
do. I mean, I do now.
You
just
never
spoiled
thought
it.
you never thought John Walker and the two of them were ever going to show down.
Well, no, but I didn't know that there was a scene in the next episode.
No. So they were very clever. They released a promo and said, "This is a promo for episode 5 and 6."
Oh no, they were doing that with WandaVision.
Yeah.
Don't tell me anything more. But move on from promos, please.
Well, no, because I'm basing my theories on what I've seen.
You can. That's not how you have to base your theories on what you've seen in the show so far.
Yeah, but I know I've seen clips.
No, okay, but base your theories on what's happened in the show so far.
Well, I can't do anything for 5 and 6 then. I'm telling you how I think it'll end. It'll end up with Walker on the run, one of the two guys with a shield, The Flag Smasher's still at large, and Sharon revealed as the Shadow Broker.
I can't add anything to that because I genuinely don't know nor care to know.
And
I'm happy that once I'm done streaming Pokemon Yellow on my Twitch channel tonight at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, be there, I will want to just go put my feet up and watch the show and have a good time. And
the last scene will be Bucky in Wakanda with his receipt and his warranty saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck is this?"
No, because it don't belong to him. It'll be him demanding the bill of sale. Like, I want you to pass the deed. I want the deed to this arm, please.
And all the operating instructions.
Yeah.
So
okay, yeah, episode 5 coming right up. Can't wait.
Yes, tonight, stroke morning for us, probably afternoon for Kashal and the guys in India.
Well, and as I said, I've got a live stream on Twitch tonight if I get home in time. I mean, it's pretty late already. I'm going to be playing Pokemon Yellow on Throwback Thursdays on the channel for the next little while, but go check me out. It's twitch.tv/MTJ Disorder.
And keep tuned to the channel. So we got our first Expanse discussion coming up, hopefully within the next 4 or 5 days. We've got to edit
the same one that we told you at the end of last week's
no,
live.
we actually filmed it now, though. We're going to edit
filmed,
it. Basically, we discuss what we love about the first season of the Expanse, and eventually we'll go on and talk about the next 4 series. But that's coming up over the next few days.
Let us know in the comment section below if you agree with any of the shit that we've been talking about, or if we don't know what we're talking about, that's fine. We're not under any delusions here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time,
good night.
Bye.
Oh shit, we did.